Hey, what's up, everybody? Pat here, gratefully recovering alcoholic and addict, just like every day. Guys, please don't forget to subscribe, leave the video a like, drop me a comment, and by all means, share it with anybody you think might get something out of it. Other than that, happy Sunday, everybody. How y'all doing? I love Sundays, especially an easy Sunday. If you guys have been watching the channel regularly, you know pretty much this entire year I hadn't had a day off. Today, because I think I had one service call last Sunday. I did actually had a small call today. Nothing. My first complete day off so far this year. This past week, things have slowed down to a manageable pace, which is nice because come next month, I'm starting a couple of massive jobs, and I'm still gonna have all my service calls coming in, so it's gonna be extremely busy again. So rather than freaking out and wondering, my past life, I had a slow moment like, oh no, did I piss somebody off? Nobody's calling. No, I'm taking a nice, easy Sunday, man. And I hope I have a light week because I actually have a lot going on this week with the hearing I have going. I got a couple of things I got to do tomorrow morning, first thing to take care of before the hearing. I don't want to wait the last minute. And then, of course, I do have work. I get those 2 tile jobs I canceled last week, this week, and, I'm still plenty busy, but nice to have a Sunday that I could just relax. I actually slept in, woke up at 8 o'clock, and I'm like, I'm only going to the gym. I'm like, I don't need to jump out of bed. Boom, fell back asleep, got up at 11, went to church, went to the gym. Again, Sunday's my longer workout. I go 4 times a week, but I rotate the third day so that I always go on Sunday, so it means I never go on Saturday. So I'm fresh on Sunday, and again, I'm certainly not ready to put up any new records, but got up to my max again at 405 pound in the bench press, and when you put in a fourth, I literally have to go search for an extra plate, because they only have 3 plates or 6 plates, 3 for each side, on at the weight bench. So it just that feels good, guys. It feels good. Recovery feels good. We're gonna get into the reading today. We're gonna go with the daily reflection today because again, what I do is I read them both every day, and then I just pick which one I feel pertains better for the day or which reading I like better. And today, being Sunday, God's Day, it is the daily reflection one out, and we'll talk about it afterwards. It's called the God idea. When we saw others solve their problems by a simple reliance upon the spirit of the universe, we had to stop doubting the power of God. Our ideas did not work, but the God idea did. Like a blind man gradually being restored to sight, I slowly groped my way to the third step. Having realized only a power greater than myself could rescue me from the hopeless abyss I was in, I knew that this was a power I had to grasp, and that it would be my anchor in the midst of a sea of woes. Even though my faith was at that time was minuscule, it was big enough to make me see that it was time for me to discard my reliance on my prideful ego and replace it with a steadying strength that could only come from a power far greater than myself. And I read that, and again, Sunday, having just I had a nice service at church, and again, I'm not a religious person. I disagree, quite frankly, with a lot of organized religion. I say this all the time: the kingdom of heaven is from within. You don't need to practice any organized religion, but I do enjoy going and just hearing the scripture, being around. I don't get out much, so it's a relaxing hour of my Sunday. I go to different churches around. I try different, and I just go there and I take what I appreciate and I discard the rest. And that's one of the beautiful things I've been able to do in recovery is not be like, oh, I disagree with, I was raised Irish Catholic, and there's just so much hypocrisy and just ridiculousness that it drove me away. And a lot of it's still there, but that doesn't mean I can't go to a mass service, pray in a church, and just feel the closeness. And I love the readings. I pretty much go for the readings, and I enjoy it. So boom, I do it. Like, I no longer have that inner conflict because I just understand that there's a God in my life, whether I'm at a church or whether I'm not, and if I'm acting good every day, good things are gonna come. But that being that's not where I was going with this. When I read this reading, I was immediately brought back to my the end of my addiction, the end of my active addiction, and you've heard me talk about it many times on the channel if you watch regularly. this whole journey started with me months before I got clean, when I was talking to somebody online and they knew there was something, and I was lying through my teeth, so she couldn't have a clue what was going on. But that's what we do in addiction. Trying to present this, positive front while I'm just falling apart at the, coming apart at the seams. And she asked me to say a prayer with her one night, and I literally did it just to appease somebody that was, I was talking to. But that being said, as soon as I opened my mouth to pray, the usual bullshit didn't come out. I just got honest, and I'm like, God, please let me walk in your light. I've been in the darkness too long. I know what I'm doing isn't right. I need help. And something clicked that night, you know what I mean? And again, wasn't some big light bulb moment. My world didn't change the next day, but something changed in here and something changed in there. Woke something in my heart. So the next day, I still get up, drug mass nightmare it was, but I started praying every night, and I started feeling things, and it started making me look at my life and realizing this just could not continue. And I mean, in any of so many ways, guys, I was falling apart. I was withering away. It wasn't going to continue for much longer, so I had to make a choice. So I started thinking about it, and I'm like, well, it feels good to pray, but I started wondering why I got away from prayer, and I realized I'd only gotten away from, because here's the thing, guys, I was running around in addiction calling myself a non-believer, and then I realized that I'd gotten away from prayer because it terrified me, because when I would pray in the midst of my nonsense and ask for help, I would get help, but it was never the way I wanted. I wanted God to miraculously make my problems disappear. And I talked about this before too. The last time I had said a prayer is when I had warrants out. I was young. Police had come knocking on my door. I was very overwhelmed. I don't know if I had never been to prison before. It was the first time I went to prison. And when the police were knocking on my door, I'm like, and I snuck out the back, ran away. But I'm like, God, you got to get me out of this. I'll do right. And the next day, they kicked in my door and arrested me. And I'm like, well, oh, actually, yeah, that's literally the only way that could go away. Warrants aren't going to disappear. My legal obligations weren't going to disappear. But that whole worrying and running from it, well, the only way it could disappear was for them to come and get me. So I got exactly what I prayed for. And it scared the shit out of me because it was not what I wanted. So I always had the power of prayer. I always believed or saw the power of prayer, but I denied myself like everything else. In order to live the life that I was living in addiction, I had to lie to myself constantly and make myself believe it. So it's amazing that this whole thing, again, this whole in recovery for me has been so divinely guided, and it's why I'm so bought in, and it's why I'm so stress free. I deal with a lot of stresses, but I don't internalize them because I asked my higher power for help. And again, he gave me time, he gave me feeling. I started seeing the nonsense I was doing, but I wasn't taking action. And guys, all of a sudden, I was getting bombarded with messages, literally daily. Everywhere I looked, I would see a sign for getting off drugs, shed the drugs. I was hearing it through YouTube videos. I was hearing it everywhere, and I didn't have the power to do it. I was trying to bargain with it, like we often do. The softer, easier way. There wasn't a softer, easier way. I had to surrender. And when I couldn't do it myself, and here's the thing, the messages got to be so abundant that I knew I had to stop doing drugs. So I literally thought, because I was seeing these messages, and again, keep in mind, I was pretty messed up on drugs at this point. So my thinking wasn't very clear. But because I was seeing all these signs and synchronicities and receiving all these messages, everywhere I looked was something about God and drug and getting off drugs, making a better life. I literally believed that I was going to be able to just lay down in bed for 3 days and kick the drugs and get up and boop, 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 and go back to my miserable life, right? That I didn't even see was so miserable at that point. Clearly that wouldn't work. Thank you, God. So, as I was about 2.5 days into my detox and hadn't so much as had a drink of water, and literally there was a film on my mouth about a half-inch thick, I was throwing up on myself. It was really bad, guys. Those of you that have been through detoxes, you know what I'm talking about. So a friend reached out and realized I was in trouble, sent help. I refused the fire department. Then he sent the police. They kicked in my door, saw all sorts of paraphernalia, gave me an option, go to the hospital, go to jail. I did, ended up in rehab the next day. And again, that was the most brutal detox. I was on but again, I've detoxed so many times in the past. I don't know if it was, I know what it is. I couldn't rationalize it, but I know in my mind that God was making sure, my higher power was making sure that this detox was one that I would not forget. Because in the past, I'd go to jail and sleep for 3 days and get up and be okay, fight my way back to normal. Guys, I was in bed for 12 days, sick as a dog. They wanted to take me to the hospital because they're like, "This is beyond detox. You must have the flu." And I knew, no, this is my detox because this is the last one. So I never have to. I'll never forget this one. And so I started, as soon as I had the strength, I started praying because I realized that everything I needed was being handed to me, right? I was talking about to my sponsor about this yesterday. There was a book, and I've talked about this book many times, The Power of Constructive Thinking by Emmett Fox, which, again, does not sound like a religious book, and it's not. But it is a book on, it's a spiritual book. It's a book on the power of prayer, how to break down Psalms, and turn them into treatments or prayers. And it was amazing. Like, dropped in, I literally said to myself, I got to lean into my spirituality. One of the RAs walked by and says, "Oh, who wants a book?" He's got a stack of books. I grabbed the one off the top, and boom, here's a book on spiritual, on the power of prayer and how to understand the Psalms. I'm like, wow, book meant so much to me that I bought myself a copy, and I have it here at my desk. I read it all the time. Things like this started happening left and right, like, because I'd asked, I used that little mustard seed of faith that I had, and I asked it for help, but then I took the help that was being offered. I acknowledged what was happening. Again, I didn't know, but I just kept saying, clearly, God is hearing me, right? There is something out there. And I believe in a God. I'm not the gray-haired man in the clouds, but I'm not going to get into my beliefs because I don't want to box anybody out. Your beliefs are personal to you. Just align yourself with it. I'm not here to say yours is wrong, mine is right, mine is wrong. I don't know. I'm human. I don't know. I'm not capable of understanding something, the power of God. But that doesn't matter, because as soon as I started to believe and then started to looking and then taking good actions because I knew I was being seen, I could no longer do what I was doing in addiction, knowing I was trying and communicating with a higher power. So I just let everything go and said, okay, you know what? I'm asking for help, and when I put my spin on things, when I put my understanding on them, I go sideways with it, and I try to bargain and, oh, this, that, and I'm usually wrong. Because I was doing the work in rehab, I started getting introspective, looking at my history, my triggers, doing the workshops, and I realized just how far of center I was. Like, everything I've been telling myself, everything I've been believing, everything I thought I was wrong. I've been lying to myself because I was afraid to confront or find out what was below the surface. I'm like, okay, well, you know what? I'm here and I got a power greater than myself in my life. So let's just face it, because I can't keep doing what I was doing. I don't want to keep doing what I was doing. I hated what I was doing. So I adopted the willingness and I just turned it all over. Guys, it's powerful. Like, literally, before 2 or 3 months go by, because I kept doing this, I'd wake up in the morning and I'd just pray. And I would just go about, again, no destination in mind other than going to my appointments, working on my job, like working on the things I had to work on, but not by what I thought was best for me. I just removed my expectations from the equation, understanding that my expectations bring me nowhere. I get nowhere. I sell myself, and that was one of the other things when I started looking at the totality of the messages and the answers I was coming up with, the work I was doing. I kept seeing that I sell myself short over and over again. So I'm like, well, maybe I should just remove my expectations and just do things in blind faith, because that was the message I was getting. So I started acting in blind faith, which meant just getting up, being faithful, praying, meditating, because again, that's where a lot of my next steps would come from. Rather than what I think I wanted, I would meditate, quiet myself, and then think of what the first thing that popped in my head, and it was usually the right step. And then I would go out and show my gratitude by taking that right step, taking action on what was coming to me, and doing so in faith and kindness, trying to help others around me. Guys, when I started this channel, I'm running around, I see, I still do. I see a car breaking down, I don't care how busy I am. I stop and help. If I can't get it running, I'll push them out of the intersection. There's always something we can do to better the situation around us, no matter what it is. I started doing that, and lo and behold, all these miracles started popping up. I started learning the value of following through. I got that help, that Massachusetts back help with my I was behind on rent. I took the leap of faith because when I went to my job, I realized, I'm like, whoa, this is the job I was fighting to keep. I was trying to get it. And I realized immediately, now that I was there sober, looking at it, going, I can't even be here. Like, everybody's using drugs and drinking during the day, and like, I can't be here and stay sober. But what do? I'm thousands in debt, and I need this job, and I'm unhireable because of my record and my license and this and that. All this shit I'm telling myself, right? To keep me stuck in that. Because that's the thing, guys. The devil wants you stuck in the shit you're in, right? And I said, no, it doesn't matter. If God's making me acknowledge these things, it's because I know it's bad for me. I don't know what's on the other side of quitting, but I know it's got to be better. So I took the leap of faith. Boom, quitting my job. Boss, like, what are you going to do for money? I don't know. I'll figure it out. I always do. God will provide for me. I didn't tell him that because he's not a believer, and I would, but again, I believe for myself, and that's what I said in my prayers. God, just show me where to go, what to do. I know you'll make it happen for me. Guys, a month later, I started my business. I've never looked back, and I've never been happier. I've never had such stability. I've never had such opportunities. It didn't happen overnight, but it started with one phone call offering me work for a couple of days, and then another, and then another. And there were days when I had nothing to do. When I had nothing to do, I'd sleep in. I'd rest. I'd journal. I'd go to appointments. I'd go to the gym. I wouldn't freak out. I wouldn't let the anxiety get to me. I trusted wholeheartedly. And sometimes that's the hardest thing to do. But when you do, and you do it right, and you combine that with good works, gosh, good things will happen. But you got to stay sober. You got to work your program. You got to go. I mean, I'm done. You don't have to do anything. But if you want amazing results, follow the suggestions. Apply the program to your life, to your specific circumstances. The further you look at what you're doing and realize what's wrong and what you can fix, and then take little actions to fix. The universe has this amazing way of just putting the right people in your way, making sure you end up in the right places at the right times. But if you're ignoring these things and you're accepting the status quo and you're doubting yourself and you're doubting this, and then that's what you're going to get stuck in. I've managed to let go of all that, and my entire world has changed. That's why I get on here and do these videos every day, because it's just like, I don't even have the words to convey the beauty of my life today. Again, not that I'm like, living in Aruba every day, but guys, we can do hard things. Like, everyone thinks, oh, it has to be easy, or we're not being blessed. No, I don't need easy. I just need possible, because the way I was living in addiction was impossible. And I get up and fought against it every single day. Talk about despair. Refusing to give up, fighting to get somewhere when you're in an absolutely impossible situation, and you're compounding it daily. That's despair. I don't need easy. I just need possible. So I got possible now because I'm sober, because I go to meetings, because I got healthy. I go to the gym. I go to my doctors. I've done everything I can to better my life. I eat better. I quit smoking, like literally. No, I've done enough. When I identify something that could be better, I go after it. I don't say, well, I've done enough work and that's too much. No rationalizations. If God puts it in my field of energy, it's because that's what he wants from me. That's his will for me. That's what we mean by seeking God's will for you. And then you ask for the power to carry it out. Guys, do it. Do it to the best of your ability. I promise you. You'll be shocked at the results if you do the work. If you find alignment. If you invite the higher power into your life and believe that it's there and wants it, make sure, and like the program says, guys, the only requirements, it's got to be a power greater than you, and it's got to be a loving, kind power. Invite it in, find alignment with it, work it in your program, work your program to the best of your ability, build a network, use phone numbers, because that's the thing, guys. I'm starting to see the networking that happens in meetings, and it's just, whether it's promoting my channel or finding camaraderie. Like, I never thought I'd be able to find a sober group of people to hang out with, and boom, took 14 months, but I'm working on it. We're getting there. Because again, blind faith, I allowed all that empty space. Instead of running out and saying, well, I got no one to hang out with, so I'll hang out with the shitbag. No, I hung out alone. And I did research, and I did positive things. I've made personal development my baseline. It's now my favorite thing to do. Guys, that's the video for today. Always remember, God loves you. I love you. We'll see you in the next one.